Welcome, everyone, to Black Tech Talent. This series aims to explore issues impacting the Black community and the technology sector, as well as celebrate the difference that technology can make to our lives and hopefully encourage some of you to consider a career in technology. In today's episode, the first one for 2024, we shall explore technology transformation and the role leadership plays in fostering a culture of innovation. I am delighted to welcome both Selima and Gilles to our LinkedIn Live series. How are you guys?
Very well, thank you.
Doing well, Brian. What about yourself?
Good stuff. Yes, excellent, excellent. So, Gilles, Selima, it's been a few months since the three of us took the stage at Black Tech Fest last October, where we had a great conversation in a spectacular venue with an engaging audience. However, I'm really looking forward to continuing the discussion with you both today. But first, let's get started with some introductions. Selima, do you mind telling us who you are, what you do, and where in the firm you sit?
Yes, absolutely. Thanks, Brian. So I'm Selima Udemezwe, and I'm the lead data analyst heading up a team of data and quality analysts within Tech Central, which is within our business solutions line of service. And I have been working in technology for over 25 years. Started off my career in software engineering, moving into databases, business and data analysis, now data design and architecture. And I'm really pleased to be here.
Amazing. Thanks, Selima. Gilles, same with you, please.
Sure. So my name is Gilles, and I'm a director at PwC in the risk line of service. And I'm part of the technology, data, and analytics business unit. What I do is I specialize in helping our clients transform their organization, leveraging current and emerging technologies.
Fantastic. And I'll introduce myself as Brian Bob Jones, a senior manager in our technology practice, where I work as a business architect. So I collaborate with internal stakeholders across the lines of service to realize their strategic vision for technological change and adoption across the firm. I'm also the deputy chair of the PwC UK Black Network and a member of our staff diversity council. Right then, let's get straight into the conversation with the first question. How do you view tech transformation at PwC, and what role does leadership play in fostering a culture of innovation and change? Gilles, if I come to you first to kick us off.
Yeah, of course, Brian. So at PwC, we fully embed technology in everything we do. In Risk, my line of service, we set ourselves the ambition of becoming a billion-pound business by 2027. And for that, technology has been a key building blocks to our success to date. We anticipate that over 50% of our revenue will actually come through technology. So that's a big number. And it's really achievable given the fact that 30% of the UK firm technologists, they do come from our line of service. So yes, technology must be a core component of every single service we take to the market. But it's not just about people. It's also about building and leveraging digital assets to enable change at pace. So when we talk about assets, in Risk, we have over digital assets available for use in the delivery of our work and services. So we have the Risk Digital Hub, which is a platform where you can find all of these digital assets. And where we also have the digital store, which is our external marketing platform for clients to view and access our products across all of our 4 lines of services. And to name some of these assets, I will start with a cloud cost assurance tool, which helps clients maximize their return on investment in the cloud by optimizing their cost and by reducing their risk exposure around cloud adoption. We also have the connected risk engine, which helps clients transform by analyzing the maturity of their organization across all functions and divisions. And finally, the data migration suite, which particularly during change programs where we replace or upgrade client systems, it provides data migration delivery capability via secure platform and automated processes. And finally, Brian, when it comes to leadership, what role leadership plays in fostering a culture of innovation?
Yeah.
In the dynamic landscape of today's business world, the ability to innovate and adapt to change is not just a competitive advantage for PwC, it's a necessity. And as we see our clients making progress with the use of technology in a year of global economic uncertainties, effective leadership becomes a real force to drive innovation and manage change successfully.
Absolutely. And I like to add to that by saying, leaders should really endeavor to lead by example, demonstrating the right behaviors, the right values, and setting that tone from the top and having that clear vision and strategy from the offset. So set that direction, clear goals and objectives, including having a purpose and the benefits that the technological change would bring. And then the final point that sometimes gets forgotten is to celebrate successes, and reward people appropriately because this helps to motivate and also reinforces the culture.
Yeah, and create really a culture of innovation rather than just, yeah.
Absolutely. Salima, do you want to add anything to those points?
Yeah, so I agree with everything you've said. And I think also leadership has that important role to play in bringing the different parts of an organization together. So whatever the innovation or transformation that's occurring, it's definitely a collaborative effort. And so leaders have an important part to play in bringing people together in that sense.
Fabulous. Okay, so if we move on to the next question, and Salima, I'll come to you first on this one. How do you balance the need for innovation with the need for security and data privacy, especially in industries like ours that handle sensitive information?
Yeah, so that's a really interesting question, actually, because I think it's relevant for all organizations that are looking to use innovation to transform the way they do business, either as a whole or within their industries, or new ways to engage with their clients. And at PwC, this is something that's very much at the front of our minds because we handle our own sensitive data, but we also handle sensitive data belonging to our clients. And we are trusted by them to handle that data appropriately. So my thoughts are innovation at its core is about solving a problem or about improving a situation or exploring new pathways. And so often that innovation can be quite data intensive, whether it's software or physical automations or machinery. And sometimes the most interesting innovation can involve processing sensitive information, for instance, about people. So when we're thinking about balancing innovation and security and sensitive data privacy, the aim should be we want to maintain an environment that enables innovation to occur and a culture for innovating, as Gilles mentioned before, but while we're safeguarding the data, particularly sensitive data. So whilst we don't want to hinder innovation, we need to be equipped to train people to ask questions, be curious, identify sensitive information very early on, and be aware of their personal responsibility to keep it secure. So I'll just dig a little bit further into this.
Absolutely.
So if I'm thinking about trustworthy, secure data, it's like, what do I mean? And I think there are a couple of areas. The first one really is having a robust data governance and data management framework or set of frameworks, because that's key for us to understand the data that we're handling and build controls around them. So what data do you have? Where does it reside? Who has access to it? Where do your vulnerabilities lie? All of these impact the type of innovation, even the quality of that innovation, and that the kind of agility and speed that we can innovate and deploy at scale. So at PwC, for instance, we've got a well-established Chief Data Office, and this is a firm-wide vehicle for setting strategy around this area around data management and governance and enablement. And they promote a key set of data principles, such as ensuring that the data is responsibly handled, that it's managed, it's owned, and, importantly, it's secure and accessible. And these principles act as a guide so that we can govern, handle, and ultimately we're trying to derive value from the data. So we're trying to keep it secure, but there's always a lens on innovating with that data at the same time, as well as remaining compliant. In terms of security, there are a couple of angles, because the more we innovate, the more we open up new avenues for potential data breaches and misuse. So we want the data to be accessible but secure and trustworthy, so that you can innovate faster and have like better outcomes. So there's an element of consultation. So with our dedicated information security and data risk teams, it's important because they provide the appropriate level of scrutiny. So it's essential that we consult with them and keep them as part of that process. But I guess it's all around things like assessment. So constantly assessing what the immediate and potential impact of new technology or innovation has on our organization. So for instance, topically, such as generative AI. So what's that impact on our organization, our clients, and our industry? We use technology as well in order to help secure our data. So things like privacy enhancing technologies, which enable data access and processing really, but they provide stronger protections to keep the data private. So traditional mechanisms such as virtual private networks, but right through to new applications of cryptography, where, for instance, you can run calculations on encrypted data without decrypting it. So some exciting stuff that's happening at the moment in terms of keeping data secure. But I guess there's, alongside using privacy enhancing technologies and monitoring and assessment, is the education piece. So when you're balancing that need for innovation and keeping sensitive information secure, it's also about driving the right behaviors. So it's important to train employees on how to handle data appropriately, making people aware of the risks and the importance of data security and data privacy as well. So that can help to address some of the imbalances. And the third area, which I'll just touch on really quickly, is, I think it's the compliance to standards and legislation, but also thinking about ethics. So treating information belonging to others with respect, and that builds trust. So there's a concept called privacy by design. So having that as part of your process while you're innovating, I think helps you to think about privacy from the outset.
That's incredible.
Can I quickly jump in? Yeah. So on the training, just following up on what Selima says about training, when you talk about innovation at PwC, we know that we must always be one step ahead. We need to understand future technologies and associated challenges, risk to our clients, and obviously have a solution in place for them. And actually, a way of mitigating this risk is simply by upskilling ourselves, being bold, investing in our grads. And if you think about it, they were born for the most part in a fully digital era. So touching on generative AI, right? Because we can't have the LinkedIn Live without talking about Gen AI.
Absolutely. Yeah, hot topic at a minute.
We must. So if you... we've published in January the PwC CEO survey on the 15th of January, and 42% of our UK CEOs have already adopted Gen AI across their companies. It's quite a big number, and 45% of them are actually expecting revenue and profitability growth and better employee efficiency. So going back to what I said about upskilling ourselves, we are significantly investing internally in generating AI tools. And since mid last year, we've been piloting a large number of tools. And also in January, we've now rolled out to all of our people in risk our own Gen AI tools Chat PwC, so the name speaks for itself. And other tools we've been looking at include Microsoft Copilot, Google Duet, and which are still being piloted. So very important topic in the heart of our CEO's mind. So we need to upskill ourselves to make sure that we are relevant and we can support our clients.
Absolutely, and these issues of security and data privacy will continue to be front and center of the minds of CEOs moving forward, because it's really important, especially as we handle data. Data is the lifeblood of any company, so it's essential to have a handle on these important issues with regards to data.
Yeah,
Super, very
exactly.
very informative. Selima, I have to say, you need to write a book, because your knowledge on data is incredible. So, yeah, that was really, really good. Okay, so moving on swiftly, let's get to the next question. So, we've talked a little bit about theory. Let's tell people a little bit about some of the complex technology transformation projects that we've all been involved in, and some of the key lessons learned from those experiences. Gilles, let me come back to you to kick us off.
Thank you. I'll try to bring this to life. So as I said earlier in my introduction, I help clients transform their organization, leveraging new technologies. And I worked for a client. So I've got a couple of examples, and I will start with a client I worked with in the manufacturing sector. So what they do is they distribute goods to millions and millions of points of sales across lots of markets globally. But they were facing a lot of cost pressure due to a lack of optimized business processes, which on top of that were supported by very aging technology. So the challenge really for my client was to transform their B2B trade marketing, sales and distribution functions through world-class digital capability and modern business application. So it was a long program. It took us 3 years to complete it, and PwC we led the program with resources spread across more than 10 countries and engaging constantly with senior stakeholders. And the outcome of the program was a completely modernized organization, which actually led to significant cost reduction by improving the effectiveness of the sales functions. And to give you an example, the field force now has access to real-time data on their handheld devices, customer data, product data, orders, etc. When in the past, the sales rep in the field needed to print their delivery schedule to go and sell to clients with a van, with product in their vans. Now they can connect via their mobile devices to a cloud-based, centralized advanced planning tool engine, which actually optimizes for them their daily schedule based on the distance they have to drive, location of their warehouses, customer location, and stock availability. So a lot of
all of that in real time.
Yeah, real time on devices, cloud-based, with all the smart and fancy Power BI dashboard. So a lot of cost and resource optimization enabled by the latest and greatest technology. So that is one example. Just checking we are doing well on time. I'll go for another one, if that's okay. Yeah.
Sure. Then I'll chip in.
Perfect. So it's a very recent one. It's actually no later than last week. I was in Paris with another client to kick off on Tuesday, probably the biggest transformation program this organization has ever gone through. So what we are doing for them is we are redefining their technology roadmap, and we are managing end-to-end the migration of their existing data center to the cloud to remediate their current risk exposure to business continuity, DR. They are struggling with disaster recovery capability, end-of-life hardware and software, etc. It's at least a 2 years program, which will enable growth and complete modernization of their business application.
Amazing. Let me chip in with a couple of examples. One which I was heavily involved in, and I think Salima, you were involved in the other one. But I'll introduce it, then you could jump in. So
Okay.
in 2019, in line with the North Star strategy, the UK firm initiated a program to decommission Lotus Notes across the firm, which also meant exiting our two data centers and moving from a fixed premise model to a cloud-based model. So, as the design thinking lead on that project, on that program, I was involved in transforming around 1,000 or so Lotus Notes databases um, into cloud technology solutions like Google, ServiceNow, Salesforce, whilst working with the business stakeholders and the delivery team of developers, testers, and product managers. And an example that sticks in my mind was a time when a senior stakeholder in one of the lines of service strongly objected to the transformation of their three databases that had been in operation for roughly 20 years. However,
20 years, yeah.
20 years,
Wow.
it's like Groundhog Day.
Yeah.
Um, but however, I was able to put the stakeholder at the center of the problem and using design thinking practices, transform all three databases onto the Google platform. Now, the lesson I learned there was one around education. Salima, I think you touched on education on the previous
Yes.
question, and actually taking that stakeholder on a journey, because whilst the destination is super important, I think the journey is critical. So that was really a really important lesson that I learned on that one. And the second example is the divestiture of the global mobility and immigration business back in 2021. So that's when PwC sold its global mobility business to investment firm CD&R for the tune of about 2.2 billion. It was $1 billion. It was all over the news.
Wow.
So what we did there, we 2P'd PwC workers onto a new legal entity, terminated existing employees and created them as new hires on the new legal entity. That meant giving them new laptops, new logins. We even created a separate office space for them in our more London office in London Bridge. This affected about 6,000 or so people across 41 global territories, and the project lasted 9 months, and that was a non-negotiable time frame. So huge project, huge program. And there were various scenarios that were analyzed, including data flows, Selima,
Yes.
processes, whilst working with a truly global team. So I know you were involved in this project. Do you want to chip in on
I think
aspects?
one of the things about this type of project was that obviously you can think of the landscape, the ecosystem around the data, where you've got data which exists across multiple systems at all various stages of quality. The processes that work with the on the data initially, people manage them, but once you think about divesting or moving that data to somewhere else, it becomes a very complicated beast itself. We had to decide what data was going to be retained within PwC and what data was going to move across. So with the many challenges, I think it helped us to see how we can make better use of the technology that we have currently
Mm-hmm.
to manage the data as well.
Yep. And there was actually a funny story about a fax machine. Yep, they still exist in this world. But all I can say is when doing a business transformation that involves technology, just ensure that all of your business processes are in place before day one. So that's part of the lesson.
And I
Yeah.
would add to that, Brian, ensure your stakeholders are fully aligned and engaged, because sometimes it's not all, well,
Yes.
very often it's not about the technology not delivering, but people not coming along to the journey.
Absolutely, that journey piece is so important, so important. And also a couple of lessons on this project. Actually, that the ownership, establishing clear ownership and accountability, because there were so many technology work streams. So that early ownership and accountability was critical to the success of this program. Like I said, it was only 9 months to get everything done and dusted, and also engaging with leadership regularly and often with full transparency to
Yeah.
ensure that the right support was in place when it mattered. It was a huge program.
So
Yeah.
we
And it's,
do. Sorry,
yeah.
Selena, go first.
No, I was just saying it's both examples are testament to the breadth of knowledge within PwC and the appetite to engage in doing very difficult transformations or these kind of complex projects, but absolutely being able to leverage the right skills to make these successes.
Yeah, agreed. Okay, we are coming up to time, but I've got one final question for the both of you. So, what advice would you give to other organizations or just professionals looking to embark on their own tech transformation and innovation journey?
Selima, or happy to go.
Yeah. So I think definitely understand what your drivers are, because your technology transformation might be a reaction to something that's happening in your industry. So if you think about
Yep.
generative AI, that itself is transformational. And all the things I've talked about around data management, security, education, compliance, feeds into this. So you may need to transform your organization from a technology perspective in order to give yourself the opportunity to have the right infrastructure or the right technology in place. So if you're lagging behind, you may need to do that. It could be that you're trying to change your workforce. So understand what the drivers are and then start to bring people along on that journey.
I would say, thank you, Selima. Elaborating a little bit more on what I said earlier about stakeholder engagement. I would say that to make the most of the new technologies out there, if you are also as a business, right, you need to partner with your IT or technology functions. And what it means is you really need to see IT technology as a partner, not a supplier. Don't build a transactional relationship, because IT support the growth of and the evolution of the business. So really work collaboratively as partners. And on the other side, if you are from a tech or IT background, you need to ensure when you build your technology or digital roadmap, it fully aligns with the business strategy, because technology enables businesses to deliver value.
Yep. Amazing. And all I'll add is, when embarking on a transformation and innovation journey, it's going to change part or the entire organization. So you must always remember the golden triangle. So that's people, process, and technology, because they all need to work in sync if that technology transformation and innovation journey is going to be a successful one. And just stay adaptive and open to change, because you might start off down one route, defining your objectives clearly, but something could happen like COVID, and then you have to adapt and change. So I think being open to change and being agile is the one that I would say resonates with me.
And creative and innovative, because
Absolutely.
we don't know
Absolutely.
what will happen tomorrow.
So we're almost at time. Conscious that we might have one or two questions. Do we have any questions? I don't think we do. Okay. Well, Selima, Gilles, thank you so much for your time today. It's been great connecting with you again on this topic. And I really want to say a massive thank you to everyone who has taken the time to join us on your lunch break. Thank you for listening to us. Go on, Gilles.
And Brian, I assume if anybody wants to connect with any one of us through LinkedIn, please by any means connect, and we're more than happy to discuss on technology transformation.
100%. Thank you, Gilles. Thank you, Selima. And thank
Thank
you,
you,
everyone, for
Brian.
your time. Have a
Thank you
great
all.
afternoon.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye bye.
Thank you.